Chapter 1. John is hanging out on Patmos when 7 lampstands and this guy, who I'm fairly certain is supposed to be God, tells him that something's about to go down, so he'd better take notes. Chapters 2 through 3. But first, John has to write letters to the angel messengers of 7 specific churches. Why God just doesn't send the angels himself and cut out the middleman, I don't presume to know. Chapter 4. A door appears, and God, whose voice I might add sounds like a trumpet, tells John that he's about to see the future. Upon entering heaven via the conveniently placed door, John sees 25 thrones and 7 lamps whose relation to the aforementioned lampstands is not specified, but there is thunder, lightning, and a sea of crystal. There are 4 living creatures, a lion, an ox, a man, and an eagle, all of whom have eyes all over their bodies, despite parts of their bodies being covered by 3 pairs of wings. These 4 never shut up. Chapter 5. God, here manifested I assume as the one on the throne, has a scroll with 7 seals. Yeah, you know where this is going. John is crying like a little bitch because no one can open the scroll until this thing shows up and takes the scroll. Everyone decides that he is worthy to open it because it turns out he's Jesus. Okay. And by the way, there's a massive amount of angels. Chapter 6. Okay, this part I recognize. First seal, bowman on a white horse gets a crown, rides off. Second seal, guy on a red horse gets a sword and the power to make everyone kill each other, rides off. Third seal, guy with scales on a black horse gets some instructions on rationing the food supply, rides off. Fourth seal, death on a pale horse gets a fourth of the earth to go ahead and kill. Hades is this guy's sidekick, rides off. Fifth seal, martyrs show up under the altar and start whining. They get white robes and don't go anywhere. Sixth seal, everyone who isn't dead yet understandably hides. Chapter 7. There are these 4 angels who are quite ready to quote-unquote harm the entire earth all at once, but first this other angel has to go around and put seals on 144,000 Israelis, which must have been fairly awkward for the 144,000 first Jew. Meanwhile, there's a multitude in white robes, no, a new one, which John can't count. Chapter 8. 7th seal. Half an hour of silence, then an angel hurls a censer of fire on the earth. Now we've 7 angels to whom God has given 7 trumpets. First trumpet. Hail and fire mixed with blood burns up a third of the earth. Second trumpet. A flaming mountain kills 1/3 of the ocean by turning it to blood. Also 1/3 of all ships spontaneously combust. Third trumpet. A very bitter star poisons 1/3 of the fresh water. Fourth trumpet. A third of all light, sun, moon, and stars goes out. An eagle sees what's coming. Chapter 9. 5th trumpet. Remember those Israelis that got seals on their foreheads? They're the only ones who don't get devoured by man-eating smoke locusts. By the way, these are not normal locusts. 6th trumpet. 4 angels and their 200 million horsemen, if you can call them that, kill a third of mankind. Chapter 10. John doesn't write down what the voices of the 7 thunders had to say. Presumably it was too awesome. Also, he was sick to his stomach at the time because he ate this giant angel's scroll. Chapter 11. John is supposed to measure the temple, or at least the Jewish part. 2 prophets in sackcloth do their thing with impunity for 1,260 days, after which a beast comes up out of the abyss and kills them. 3.5 days later, they come back to life and ascend to heaven on a cloud, while 1/10 of the city collapses in an earthquake, killing 7,000. 7th trumpet. Temple in heaven opens and the Ark of the Covenant is visible. Chapter 12. A pregnant lady, clothed with the sun and stars and standing on the moon, goes into labor. A 7-headed, 10-horned, however that gets distributed, red dragon is all set to eat the newborn. God intervenes because this child is supposed to rule the world, and the mother heads off into the desert for 1,260 days. Why does that sound familiar? Oh, by the way, the dragon swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky while you weren't looking. The dragon, of course, is Satan himself, and there's a freaking epic battle which he loses. But it looks like he's to have the earth to take out his anger on. The woman sprouts wings, so Satan spits out a tsunami at her. Chapter 13. Another 7-headed, 10-horned beast appears, this time out of the sea. The people whom God's been systematically exterminating decide that, yeah, this guy looks like a good leader, for 42 months anyway. He starts systematically exterminating the saints. And we have a third beast. This one is in turn deputy to the second and rules through a combination of intimidation and economics. Chapter 14. John notices the Lamb and the 144,000 Jews standing on Mount Zion so they can hear the song in heaven. 3 angels do a flyby, the first shouting to worship God, the second that Babylon has fallen, and the third that everyone on earth, except those 144,000 on Mount Zion, are basically going to hell. An angel with a sickle harvests the entire earth, except for grapes. A second angel with a sickle harvests those grapes, throws them into a giant winepress, which floods 180 square miles with blood. Chapter 15. Now God goes old school. Namely, 7 angels get 7 bowls filled with his wrath. Each one is a plague. Chapter 16. First plague, apparently smallpox, or some other disease with sores. Second plague, sea turns to blood. Take that, whales. Third plague, freshwater turns to blood. Take that, humans. Fourth plague, the sun, which from this context is no longer an article of clothing, starts roasting humanity alive. Fifth plague, darkness over the kingdom of the beast. Sixth plague, River Euphrates dries up. Satan and his beasts start puking frog demons who gather the kings of the earth to Armageddon, which is a location. Seventh plague, basically everything that movie 2012 covered, but also 100-pound hailstones. Chapter 17, one of those plague angels takes John to see Babylon, at least that's this woman's hooker name, sitting on Satan, or perhaps Satan's clone, and drinking a saint blood cocktail. The angel explains the significance of the 7 heads and 10 horns. I don't understand, actually. Chapter 18, there's a rather lengthy speech by an angel who should have been a sportscaster, accurately predicting every stage of Babylon, which I think is also a metaphor's destruction. Another angel provides a visual aid. Chapter 19, I think that other woman's baby is all grown up and riding a white horse, or maybe, no, I lost track of who this is, leading the armies of heaven. An angel standing in the sun tells the birds that there's about to be good eating. The Battle of Armageddon takes place. The 2 beasts are captured and thrown into lava. All the other enemies are killed by God's mouth sword. The birds eat well. Chapter 20, an angel chains up Satan and puts him in a hole for 1,000 years while his followers lay dead. And then, Satan gets out, raises another even bigger army, surrounds God's people, and loses again into the lava pit with thee. Finally, we get to the judging. Everyone who has ever lived comes back to life. Death and Hades are no longer needed, so they go into the lava pit as well. Those judged unrighteous also, you guessed it, get thrown into the lava pit, which I'm fairly certain is hell, or more specifically, the second death. Damn. Chapter 21. Old heaven and old earth pass away. God comes down to new earth to live in his holy city. John hitches a ride with that plague angel again and gets the grand tour of what I personally call super heaven, complete with no less than 8 references to the number 12. Also, there's no temple because God and Jesus are right over there. Chapter 22. There is this totally sweet river and it's never dark. In conclusion, John tells us be good Christians, so we'll get to see all this for real.